My guests today are film director Hélèna Hadjiyianni and producer Shanice Mendy and their short film documentary, Anaïs. Now, Hélèna is a director and photographer, and after 10 years at the Music Conservatory practicing singing, piano, and cello, she studied acting in Paris. From there, her visual rhythms and the movement of bodies and souls are central themes in her work, and she captured the lives and even the training of athletes such as Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant. In 2023, she directed her first documentary short, Anaïs, a portrait of Anaïs Quemener, a French marathon champion and a breast cancer survivor at the age of 24, which is our subject today. Now, Shanice Mendy is a French-Senegalese producer with a diverse portfolio spanning the past 8 years, particularly in the sports industry. Now, she ventured into the cinema industry, notably with this incredible short documentary, Anaïs, but Shanice has served as the lead producer for Nike in Paris, as well as in London, New York, and Johannesburg for the Jordan brand. Now, her passion for content production is reflected in her extensive experience with major brands such as L'Oreal, the French Olympic Committee, and the Canal Plus, France's premier sports broadcasting channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome visionary filmmakers Hélèna Hadjiyianni and Shanice Mendy and their Oscar-qualified short film documentary, Anaïs, to the show. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having
much.
us.
Well, you're very welcome, and I must say, what an incredible resume for both of you. So I love it that you are both. Not only are you both young, you're very experienced in the world of cinema, but please tell me, how did you come to learn of the story of Anaïs Quemener?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, we're so happy to be there and to talk with you about all of that. The first time we heard about Anaïs was in at the end of 2022 when Salomon, which is a brand and equipment that you might know because they do a lot about ski in France, especially in Annecy. And we had this conversation about one of their athletes, ANAIS QUEMENER. And they told me you should maybe have a look about her and her life because we think she's someone who went through a lot of challenges, not only about sports, but also in her life. And so I started to dig a little bit more about Anaïs. And at the time, Shanice was in New York, and we were talking a lot because we are also friends, and we were talking about what filled our journey and our everyday life. And I was telling about Anaïs to Shanice, and she said that, oh, I know her. You already knew her a
Yeah.
little bit, and learning more and more about her, I really felt like it was a necessity to speak about her story and to introduce her to the world, because I think that through her ordinary life, she's able to really embrace what it is and what it takes to really live on this planet and embrace life also. And so, yeah, we talked about it, and we decided to just go and jump into this amazing journey of directing a first documentary.
Well, Shanice, let me ask you this because your background is heavy in the sports industry on the commercial production side. Was there
Yes.
much different going into this project, being an
Yeah.
actual filmmaker and creating a film?
Yeah, it's much different. I think the main difference is also the people you work with, and working with Hélène is special because she has a special way to work. She has a special eye when she looks at someone, and in this case, Anaïs. She has a special DNA that hopefully you can feel in the documentary. And so I mean, we could have done a commercial spot on Anaïs because she is amazing, but doing and making a documentary is very, very different. And it takes, I would say, more of our hearts, I would say, and passion. And it brings, to me, it brings more joy, because it's not only, it's not for a brand that you do it, it's for her, and it's also hopefully to inspire others and other people to just embrace a life in another way, or in a way that they wouldn't have thought about before.
Is there less pressure doing a film documentary on a person, and let's say an athlete, versus having to create a commercial knowing that you are there trying to bring forth the representation of a major
Yeah.
brand?
I wouldn't say it's less pressure, because the pressure I have as a producer is to make everything possible and bring out to life what is inside this beautiful brain. So it's not less pressure. Also because obviously you have less budget as well, most of the time. But I would say that it's easier in a way, also because we are friends and we love working together, and it's another way of approaching my work, and it doesn't feel like I'm working. So in this way, it's easier.
That I can understand. Now I know that Anaïs is a very passionate. She's very passionate about running. She must have been very easy to work with, as you know. When I was watching the documentary, she smiles all the time.
She smiles all the time, but she's hard to follow though because she's like her life is going so fast as when she's running, and so you have to be ready to follow her on her journey and daily life. Because she's not really aware of how intense her life can be and how intense her everyday life is. And I think she wasn't maybe also really aware of everything she went through. She went through it with a lot of movement and dedication, as always. But maybe she didn't really take the time to reflect on everything she's doing on a daily basis. And so for us, to follow her was really challenging. But in this challenge, we were welcomed so warmly by Anaïs, by her family, by La Meute, by everyone around her. And so it felt challenging, but also very joyful and easy in a way.
Now, how old was she when you did the film documentary? Because I know that she was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 24. How old was she when you did the doc?
Yes. She was 31. Yes, it was way after. And we have about the same age, the three of us. So we were past 30 when we met and when we did the film.
And that was also a challenge, because you have to write on something that is in the past now. And so that was also a big work of archives, and how you bring up to life what she went through, also without doing too much on it, because she approaches her disease as just something that came in her life, and then she went through it, and now she's just running again.
You know, her cancer story in itself is a miracle. I mean,
Yes, it
she
is.
was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. That is not
Yes.
a good sign. And
No.
even her, and I love the fact that you had her doctor, her oncologist there in the documentary to explain the severity of this type of cancer. But I feel that her coach played a major part in her healing because he knew she needed to be doing some form of movement every day. She could maybe lightly run, ride a bicycle, something, because I know that it's the actual movement of the body and especially the way the coach was looking at it, it improves immune function. So I know that
Mm.
that movement created, even more healing in her body. On top of the fact that the oncologist, he did, treatment that other doctors would have never done.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly that. I think both her doctor and her father, which is also her coach, played a huge role in the fact that she survived because the doctor told us she was supposed to die. Um, yes, and so I think staying in movement helped her definitely survive thanks to her father, who said one day he saw her on the couch and he said, get up and let's go even for a walk and let's do just a little bit of movement, even if it's just for 5 minutes, but every day you have to get up and stay in movement. And I think from that moment she kept that energy she always had, and she stayed in the same level of activity. Not, it was of course not as intense as before, but the both of them were just like staying active. And when seeing the doctor, and they were always telling us also how joyful he was and trying to, uplift their energy. And when they were leaving the appointment with the doctor, they were always feeling good. And the three of them, they really built a strong connection. Even the doctor at first, he wasn't really welcoming well the fact that she was still running and still staying in movement. At the time, it was more common to have a doctor telling you you should rest, you should stay, you should lay down and stay calm. And Anaïs did the very opposite. And so at first, he was maybe a bit reluctant. And then he saw that they didn't give him the choice of just seeing her running again and again. And after that, I think he let go something about medicine and he just embraced what was this special and unique connection they were building, the three of them. And that's also what created this form of miracle. It's because every person in this trio listened to each other and let go something of um, the usual. The doctor with every treatment and the way you should stay calm, and Anaïs with the fact of staying in movement and try still to obey with chemotherapy and radiotherapy and staying calm and letting go a huge competition she wanted to do. She put that on hold to try to survive, and the doctor put on hold the fact that sometimes maybe staying in movement is the best way to survive.
Yeah, I know that I've talked to other people, and movement actually helps to improve white blood cell count, which can help
Yeah.
improve fighting cancer. I loved the look on the doctor's face because he was revisiting her medical file. And you could tell by his demeanor and the look on his face that he was still kind of scratching his head like she was cured of she was cured of triple negative breast cancer. And I could tell by the look on his face that's the definition of a miracle.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, definitely. He said it's a miracle, and he said also there is things sometimes that we cannot explain only with medicine and medical curation, and that maybe this connection and the fact that you can believe in something so strong and being passionate with something else so heavily that then you can overcome things that should be maybe sometimes a huge problem that you cannot overcome. And it's with Anaïs, I think this movement and this passion and this faith she has in life and with herself and with her team, she managed to overcome a lot of things in her life. For example, for now, she's pregnant. And so when she shared this news with the doctor, he said, this is another miracle. Like he said, I need to go back and look at my files again because I don't understand how that is possible because of all the heavy treatment she had. she wasn't supposed to be able to give birth to a baby, and now she's pregnant and she's
Yeah, at
super
least not
healthy.
naturally. Yeah.
Yes, not naturally.
Yeah.
And the baby is healthy and is due for February. So, yes, there is something about Anaïs in her ordinary life. I think it's in the way she's embracing everything, um, that she managed to, achieve extraordinary things. And the reason why I really wanted to talk about Anaïs and to tell her story, it's because sometimes we think that to become someone extraordinary or to be able to achieve extraordinary things, it takes extraordinary elements. And I think, in fact, we can, every one of us, we can find that within us ourselves and with the people that surrounds us. And I think, yes, Anais was maybe a perfect example of you can do it, and maybe, as also Marcel, the grandfather, said, always keep smiling.
Well, I liked her grandfather because he believes in natural healing, and I'm sure that he played a part in her recovery as well. Now, with Anais being diagnosed at the age of 24, from the time that she was diagnosed, when did she get the all clear sign that she was cancer free?
Do you want to answer?
I guess that was 8 months after she discovered that, was it?
When she was completely cured, I think it took several years to really, for the doctor to really say, you're completely cured. Because even after the radiotherapy, she tried reconstruction of her breasts, but it didn't work, and so she really decided to go in her life without breast, and that was her way of feeling good. And she did a lot of course, exams to make sure she was going in the right direction, and that the illness was gone. And I think the first couple years after the disease, after 2016, were very important. But she went back on track very quickly, and she actually didn't really wait to know if it was over. She was really, even when she was sick, she was really embracing life as she wasn't that sick. And she was telling us, when I was running, I really felt like normal.
Yeah,
So,
and I
yeah.
could see that in the film because this story is one of resilience and passion. It's female empowerment, but also,
It's
being a cancer survivor. Uh, I mean, for both of you, what part of her story surprised you the most?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. I think obviously when we met with the doctor, when he said, well, 8 months after the end of her treatment, she came back to me, and I thought she would have, like, I thought she would say, okay, I have that again. But no, she actually had like the middle of her being the French marathon champion. That is when he said that to us, that struck me really, really much personally.
Yeah. I think it's her capacity of determination, which is infinite, that really is inspiring. I think there is never a problem that cannot be overcome with Anaïs, and I think it's really inspiring. And directing a movie is also that. You can face a lot of challenges, but if you're really passionate enough, and if you have around you people with a lot of consideration about what you're trying to achieve, and if you stick to what you really believe in, then you're able to create something beautiful. And I think that was very inspiring to have in front of us someone who was embracing that every day.
Yeah, and she really pushed herself because I know that when she did the cross country run, I mean, through the
Yes.
mud and everything else. And like she said, that was like the toughest thing
Yeah.
she's ever done. How do you
Yeah.
film something like that?
Well, you embrace it. You go in the mud with her, and you enjoy being completely like stuck in how do you say that, in the mud? Yes. And also to be very patient because it was a whole day of filming, but Anaïs was running at 3 p.m. and we started the day at 8 a.m. and it was raining a lot, and so my only concerns was about the camera and for the camera to be safe, but about myself I was okay to be completely wet and
Yeah.
and yes, and I just took an amazing shower when I went back, but it was very important for me to also be able to capture her in an environment where it's not what she loves. It's really a challenge she imposed on herself because it's also in that way that she can improve on her own field. And so it was very interesting. And so I didn't really think about how uncomfortable it was because it was so uncomfortable for Anaïs, and yet she was still smiling, still talking to everyone and making sure everyone was okay. And so, when you're close to someone like that, you don't feel the pain.
Yeah. It's really funny actually because every scene you see in the film where she runs on the road, she always say, "Oh, we can do that again if you want," because she loves it. She loves running on the road where it's straight and where she can actually run really fast. But yes, in the mud, that's different, and that's also so kind of her to share that that was one of the most difficult runs she had because she could have just smiled and say, "Well, I've done it now."
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
especially when they put those metal spikes on the bottom of her shoes. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And like they were explaining the course to her, like, okay, like the coach was saying, now this section here, it's all downhill. So you're going to
Yeah.
be picking up a lot of speed. And I'm like, how are you going to handle that with those spikes on those shoes? But she's an athlete. She did it and did very well.
Yeah.
For this documentary, where did you actually film it?
So at first the idea was to only focus on France and Paris mainly.
Mm.
And then when we first met, we had a coffee, the three of us, because we just wanted to make sure that she was okay to, of course, do this documentary, but also to understand how much she was willing to let us in her life, and if she was okay if I was filming her skin and her body. So we talked about that, and we also talked about, so what will the next few weeks and month will look like for you? And she said, oh, by the way, in 2 weeks I'm going to La Réunion Island. I'm going to see my grandparents over there, and I will run a cross country. And then I look at Shanice and I said, oh, I think we should take a plane and we should go there because that would be amazing. And at first, La Réunion Island wasn't planned at all because we didn't think that she would go. And so
And we had no budget for it at
yeah, we had
first.
no budget for it. So yeah, it's sometimes you have ideas, but you don't dare to put them in
Yeah.
the script because it requires too much, and we had to be careful about what we can do and what we can afford.
But
And
that was never really a subject because when she
yeah,
said, "I'm from La Réunion Island," then obviously, like, it was clear for us and that we should go.
yeah.
I mean,
That's also the beauty in a
yeah,
relationship with a director and a producer, I think, is when a director come with an idea that wasn't maybe planned in a documentary short, and the producer is listening and takes in consideration this important subject, then you're able to go further in the project. And so 2 weeks after, we were in the plane,
yeah.
and that's how the shooting of the film started. And actually it was really amazing to start by there because we also start with the roots of Anaïs. And so I think it really helped us to understand Anaïs to her core and to connect with her family and her roots. And so to answer to your question, La Réunion Island was another location we had. And so we had La Réunion Island, we had Paris, and Mitry-Mory where she lives, which is next to Paris. And then we have Carhaix, which is where she ran the cross country.
So I know that with short films, many directors tell me they're filmed anywhere from 1 day to 5 or 6 days. But with a documentary, it's a lot longer. So how long did it take you to
Yes.
film the full documentary?
Well, it started mid-February
Yeah.
when we went to La Réunion, and there we filmed for 4 days, and then we filmed Anaïs when she was running. And I would say in France and in Paris, it took us maybe a total of 20 days.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I felt like I couldn't stop. I had this appeal of going back to see her and see La Meute and to have their impression of how do you feel after the marathon? How do you feel now that you achieved this new record? And how do you feel with your work and with everything? And so I had a hard time to let go because I think I got attached to this team, and sometimes when you witness such a strong bond between people, I mean, I just thought that every moment is always beautiful to capture, but then at some point you have to let go. I think it's about letting go also.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now tell me about the cinematography. You have a mixture of nature, you have flowing lava, you have drone footage to help tell the story. And many of those elements told me that Anaïs' story is one of evolution and learning to adapt to whatever life comes her way.
Yes, it's very true. The nature and the organic elements were really for from the beginning. It was a strong desire to create a parallel between who we are as human beings and what surrounds us and the living elements around us. And maybe it was a way to say, pay attention, and that we complete each other, and that it's also a way to stay close to our roots. And so from the beginning, nature, and especially also the volcano and the fire and the lava, became maybe another character of this film that would try to suggest everything that's within her that we wanted to try to express, because the lava and the volcano was, if you ask anyone who knows Anaïs, how would you describe her? They would say fire, definitely. Like, she is fire. She has a strong character, strong energy, always in movement. And with the volcano, it was a desire to express that also. But of course, the grandfather with the roots and then their Indian roots and the resistance to fire express a form of resistance to challenges of life. And so when there is the chapter about the disease, it was a way of expressing everything she went through and her body went through, even the chemotherapy that the doctor said it was burning everything in her body. Of course, the wrong cells, but also the good ones. When you do a treatment like that, you loses everything, even the right and the healthy cell. But after that, there is also a massive release of energy, and you can also overcome. And there is this movement, infinite movement, the lava and the fire also creates. And I think it was a way of expressing also who Anaïs is without showing her all the time, and to create a connection between her and her environment.
Yeah, because it is her environment. She's on the road, she's running, and according to the documentary and according to her, she can run all day, if not all night long,
Yeah.
because she loves it so
Yes.
much, which I really got a kick out of. But who did the music score for the film?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The music is it's an amazing part of this post-production. It's Alfonso Peduto. First, we had a Zoom meeting because he's living next to San Francisco and we were in Paris. And we just wanted to have this first conversation because we wanted to have one track in the film with the piano. And so he watched the first version of the film, and I think he fell in love with the film. And the day after, he called me and he said, "You know what? I think I would love to create a whole original score for the whole film. What do you say about that?" And again, I was so happy because it's something I was dreaming about, but that could maybe feel a bit complicated to do. And he came and he said, "I want to do it." And
Yeah.
for 2 weeks after that, it was just like working and conversation on the phone and on Zoom to speak about music, about texture, about the way to record a piano, a specific piano, and then for another track, another piano. And 2 weeks after, we had this amazing and beautiful album, which is actually available on all platforms if you want to listen to the album. And I would say this is another character of the film.
Yeah. And it's also the chance we had while we shot this documentary is also that we met people who fell in love with you, us, your DNA, and the way you wanted to portray Anaïs. Everyone was extremely flexible. The team was small, but it was extremely flexible, and I think this is also a chance to
Yeah,
have that.
I
passion.
Yeah.
I love that because the music score caught my ear about on this film, but everything works so well together. And like I said,
Thank
I am
you.
a lover of film documentaries, regardless if they're full features or if they're short film documentaries. I just love to see. Well, I love to learn, but I also love to learn about people and their lives. And in this case, to see someone go from adversity to victory is such an incredible
Yeah.
inspiration. Now, this film has been shown at multiple film festivals. What's been the audience's reaction to it?
So it's very interesting because between France and the
Mm,
United States,
it's different.
it's different. Sometimes we feel like the audience reacts differently regarding the grandfather at the
Mm,
beginning, regarding the illness, also regarding the team, and they're maybe attached to different parts of the film. But in the end, I think the reaction they have, all of them, is at the end of it, we feel close to Anaïs. We want
mm.
to start running, even though we don't like
Yeah.
to, we don't love to run, but
Yeah.
we would like to try because Anaïs is like
Yeah.
an inspiration about that.
We want to be her friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that's of course a joy as a director, is to feel that at the end of it you feel uplifted, or
Mm,
you feel maybe a bit of joy inside yourself, and you have optimism inside of
yeah.
you, and you maybe feel inspired to maybe embrace life a certain way.
A lot of people get emotional as well,
Yeah,
which is also very emotional for us
yeah,
as well when you see people at ease but not really,
yeah,
crying but not really. It's yeah.
This film gives people hope.
Mm,
And, and it goes back to the doctor. He said if Anais went to another doctor, and he was
yeah.
being honest, she may not be alive today.
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
Definitely. And
so that's why this film is full of inspiration, encouragement, motivation. Um, I mean, determination. The list goes on
mm.
how great this film really is. And I mean, if both of you want to pick up running, Shanice, I think you can just make an easy phone call to Nike.
Definitely, yes.
Well, for both of you, how does it feel to be Oscar qualified?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I fell in love with cinema when I was maybe 8 years old, so it's been a while, and I've been very inspired and impressed by the Oscar, of course, but also all the directors who, you know, are part of it. And so in this journey, I think my main goal was to try to question what it is and what it takes to be a director and to make movies and to take 29 minutes of the life of an audience, because it's still a lot. And so it's also a big responsibility. And speaking about documentary also, because there is a sense of truth that you have to honor, I think. And so I was really, really focusing on that. And because Anaïs has a story, I would love the world to know. Of course, this Oscar qualification is a huge honor, not only for me, but mainly for Anaïs and for all the team, and for Shanice, that all the person that believed in this project and that supported me. I feel really, really honored, and every day it's a joy because we also get the chance to meet a lot of people. And in my career as a photographer, I had maybe a lot of relationship with loneliness, because I was learning to do everything by myself, and I think working alone was also maybe sometimes a way to get closer to the people I wanted to photograph. But directing a movie is different. You have to build a team, and that's also what I learned. And this Oscar qualification, I think it's also about the teamwork, and that is a huge joy, and connected with people, even like you, getting to the chance to open conversations about cinema. It's really a pleasure, and I hope then that it will not stop. But it's really a joy.
Yeah, it is a joy. It is it's also I'm not I was not a cinema girl. I was more a TV kid. And when you told me about this will that you had to do a documentary on Anaïs, you also said, and Hélène also said, I want to do something that is a film for cinema and for this industry. And so I learned a lot along this road as well. And I think you you created in my brain also a new dream to achieve, which are the Oscars today. But also, as you said, it's really more than the Oscar. It's more connecting with people and having
Yeah.
their how they feel about the movie, which is the most interesting for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
being able to share stories, I would
yeah,
say.
and that's the greatest thing about cinema, filmmaking, and even more than
Mm.
that, the greatest thing that I have found in the filmmaking community is that everyone wants to work together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
and for you, Shanice, though, now that you've been on the filmmaking side, do you want to do more?
Exactly. I want to do more. Like this is the only thing I want to do now. And also I really, really, of course, I know other directors. I've been even for commercials, I've been working with other directors, but what I want to do is to serve Ellen's vision for now. Also because I truly believe in this draw of being a producer and having my director. I really like that, and I want to do more, but with Hélène.
Well, I know Helena. Shanice is a keeper, so don't let her go anywhere.
Oh, yes. Oh no, I think we're gonna stick together because we really get along, and I think it's really a blessing also when you get the chance to find a producer with you that's really capable to believe in you, and that see you and listen to you and your ideas, and that help you make that possible. I never had that before, and I really cherish that, and I think we really want to make this grow. And so hopefully we will see you again, and
Yeah,
we
I
will
know.
continue talking about other projects. And yeah, it's I mean, I really feel like now I'm in the area of my life, and I have a sense of what I always dreamed about. So I don't want that to stop now. I think about the little girl I was, 8 years old, dreaming about that, and now we're living really everyday amazing things, and we're like here with you talking about cinema, and I just don't want that to stop. It's too good to be true.
Well, for both of you, you are always welcome back. I cannot wait to see what both of you come up next in the areas of film. You always have an open invitation. So, whatever project you
Thank you.
get done, you've got to come back and we will talk about that as well. And, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this, Anaïs, this is a tale of survival and strength. And Anaïs is 32 years old, and her body is her weapon as much as her shield to conquer the battle of life. She plays against the clock, from breaking records on the asphalt to night shifting at the hospital or even battling a stage 3 breast cancer. Now, this documentary short film is pure inspiration and motivation. A film that inspires the never giving up spirit that really truly lives in all of us. One's test becomes their testimony, and in the midst of adversity, we can find victory. I want to thank both of you for sharing this incredible, very powerful film that I know will sure to inspire the next generation of athletes and visionaries in our world. So again, you're always welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bart. Merci.
You're very welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching Bond on Cinema. And as for me, I'll either see you at the movies or from the red carpet.